Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to our page. I hope you're all having a fantastic Friday. Happy April Fool's Day. And on that note, I would just like to say something. These last 2 years have kind of felt like, one big prank after another. And so, on behalf of myself and everyone everywhere, I say let's just not do April Fools this year. Let's kind of, push that until next year. I feel like we've all kind of had enough. And so with that, I'll go ahead and get started on our presentation. So today is April Fool's Day, but it is also Take Down Tobacco's National Day of Action. This is a initiative started by the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids to kind of help everyone expose the tobacco industry. So youth advocates across the country, whether people advocating for youth or you guys, we all just kind of come together and try to expose the tobacco industry for the fools that they are, gambling with people's lives. It's not very uncommon for corporations to exploit for money, but I think Big Tobacco is one of the few that realize how deadly their products are and continue to try to push their products, especially on youth. And they'll run these marketing campaigns and these PR campaigns claiming to be the good guys. They'll say, oh, we're beyond smoke. We want a smoke-free world. Both of which are cap when they're talking about smoking. And yes, we have seen a reduction in the amount of people who are smoking cigarettes, but we've at the same time seen a really concerning rise in vape usage, using e-cigarettes. And this is kind of the shift that they're talking about. And so they'll promote these vapes and they'll promote light cigarettes, which I'm assuming things like Marlboro Lights or Newport Lights or Camel Lights, as less harmful than regular cigarettes. Now, a cigarette is a cigarette. Whether it's a light cigarette or full fat or skim milk cigarette, it's still going to be a cigarette. It's still harmful for your lungs. You're not supposed to light something on fire and inhale it. And the same can be true for vaping. You're not supposed to inhale some of these compounds that you can find in a vape. Now, some of the compounds like propylene glycol or glycerin, you can find in food, you can find in cosmetic products, and they're generally safe to be consumed that way. But we don't know enough to know if they're safe to be consumed in the lungs. All we know by now is that they cause some kind of lung inflammation, and they cause something called EVALI, or e-cigarette and vaping associated lung injury. And this is kind of what's landing a lot of young kids in the emergency room, because we still don't know the effect that these chemicals have on our lungs, but we do realize there's some kind of dangerous aspect to it. And the one commonality that all of these products have is nicotine, that very addictive substance that makes it monumentally difficult to quit nicotine products, to quit cigarettes or vapes. And so Big Tobacco knows this, yet they continue to develop and market new products, gearing these products towards kids or even marginalized communities. And so you go to a gas station across from school and you'll see advertisements in lineups of vape products. Or maybe you'll go to a rural area or maybe a suburban area and you'll see gas stations and liquor stores telling you, oh, buy 2 packs of Newports for less than the price of a Newport. And so they're trying to push these products to get more revenue, to get more sales. And part of that is marketing these deadly cigarettes and these questionable and dangerous vape products as safe. And they're not safe. And if an organization like Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids or maybe Parents Against Vaping and E-Cigarettes will try to create policies to reduce tobacco use or to regulate it or to make sure it's not being sold to minors, Big Tobacco will fight and lobby aggressively to make sure that these policies don't go into effect, to ensure that they continue receiving that money flow and continue selling their product. And so why is this multi-billion-dollar corporation or industry so dangerous? Because the death toll is around 480,000 people dying a year from these products. This is a fraction of the 16 million people in the United States who currently suffer from smoking-related diseases and illnesses. And around $226 billion worth of tobacco-related medical bills, which is a huge number. Not to mention, around 40% of kids between the ages of 3 to 11 years old are being exposed to secondhand smoke on a daily basis. So they'll probably have a parent or a relative or a guardian who smokes around them, or maybe smokes and then hangs out with them, exposing them to third-hand smoke. And this is priming them for that addiction. They're inhaling some level of that nicotine, and it's kind of binding to the reward center in their brain and telling them, oh, this is an interesting chemical. And that will kind of prime somebody to want to explore nicotine products or tobacco products. And so what's the result of this? 5.6 million kids under the age of 18 who are already addicted to nicotine products. Generally vapes, but nicotine products in general. And so this is not only a public health issue where we have a lot of young kids becoming addicted at a very young age, it can also kind of be a disaster to the environment. You go to a school site or you go to a park, you look on the ground and you see all these discarded vape products. There's a lot of chemicals in that. There's that nicotine, not to mention the battery is a environmental hazard. And so not only is public health being affected, but environmental health as well, which is something that we need to keep in mind. Vapes especially are becoming a problem, exposing young kids to lifelong nicotine addictions, not to mention the chemicals in vapes themselves, most of which are organic compounds and oils that might be safe for human consumption, but definitely not safe to heat up and to inhale, based on what we've seen so far. There are 2 million US kids using e-cigarettes. That's an epidemic level of young kids vaping. And we'll see companies like Juul or Breeze, although Juul has kind of been targeted and cracked down a little bit, but we'll see these vape companies intentionally designing their products with flashy and interesting designs, or maybe they'll give them fruity or minty flavors to try to appeal to kids and teens. Not to mention youth targeting advertising campaigns on social media, and so they'll actually target youth on social media for these products. And at the same time, they'll loosely regulate the sales of these products to you guys. And so making it available for you and telling you, hey, look at how flashy this product is. Any young person is going to go, oh, that looks interesting. And this is kind of also where the problem lies. Any young person being exposed to nicotine at that young of an age, when their brain hasn't completely finished developing, their brain is going to develop around that addiction, and so it becomes a lot harder to get out of that than if you were to start smoking at 21 or even 25. I'm not saying that doesn't run the risk of addiction, because it definitely does. Around over 75% of people who are addicted to cigarettes have an impossible time quitting, even if they're experiencing some of those health effects that nicotine would cause. So really important to kind of keep that in mind. The lies and the deception that big tobacco continues to peddle in order to lure you guys and to lure vulnerable people into a lifelong addiction, into a lifetime of disease, and eventually, in most cases, even death. And so if you're tired of being fooled, if you're tired of being tricked, then join us. Join us going all in to expose this industry for the circus of fools that it is. And how can we do this? It's a four-pronged approach: exposing big tobacco, documenting how it's affected your life, advocating to legislators and representatives to change policy, and pledging to stay away from tobacco products. Let's go more in depth, shall we? So if you have a creative, unique way of expressing yourself, whether you can rap or write poetry, or whether you can paint, using that creative outlet to express how and why big tobacco is not going to fool you can be very helpful. And if you post that to your social media using the hashtag #TakeDownTobacco, it's just going to get more people to see this and more people to kind of start exposing big tobacco as well. If you're a funny person, if you like to make comedy skits or videos or graphics or even a funny anti-tobacco joke, calling out big tobacco. You can use that, post it to your social media, and also use the hashtag #TakeDownTobacco. And then document. Let people know how big tobacco has affected you or somebody you love. Whether they've been targeting you on social media with all these different ads, or whether the vape shop across the street from your school, it has like a lineup of candy flavored vape products or tobacco products, and they look very colorful and appealing. Take a picture of that or a video, document it on social media, and of course use the hashtag #TakeDownTobacco. Or if you have a personal story, or if you know of a loved one who's been affected by cigarettes, or maybe has passed away due to lung cancer caused by nicotine, talking about that on social media, using the hashtag #TakeDownTobacco, show us how big tobacco has kind of affected you, how it's hurt your loved ones, or even your community. Each one of you has a very powerful and unique story that can resonate with somebody and spark action. And so someone will look at your post and go, well, you know what, maybe I need to get help to quit smoking cigarettes, or maybe I should stop vaping before it becomes a serious problem. And that's the goal really behind this campaign, is to make more people aware of the fact that there's this industry still peddling a very dangerous, very toxic product, and we can make the change, because they're not going to. They want their money. We want our health. We want our environment and our youth to be healthy and okay. Advocating is going to be huge. This is where policies go into place. So letting your politicians and decision makers know that you're sick of the tricks that big tobacco has pulled on your generation, luring you into addiction using these sweet flavors, these cheap products, and their aggressive marketing and targeted advertising. So get a group of friends together, concerned relatives and people, and write some letters, sign some petitions, and let the decision makers in your city, whether it's city council or your mayor or your state representative, let them know that you support policies to end flavored tobacco sales, to increase the price of tobacco products, to regulate them better, and to stop the tobacco industry from targeting kids in vulnerable communities. That last one's going to be a little bit more difficult, but I believe the more people join this initiative, the easier it'll be to overcome this. And lastly, take the pledge to be tobacco free. If you want to be a part of this revolutionary movement, and if you want to help us put this corrupt industry in check, help us out by signing the pledge to take down tobacco at www.takedowntobacco.org. Although it's an easy website to access, I will leave this in the description of this video, as well as these resources as well. Now, this is for anybody who may be struggling with nicotine addiction, or maybe know somebody, a loved one or a friend who is struggling. These are just a couple resources. We have the Michigan Tobacco Quit line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, or 784-8669. Also, for those of you who prefer to text, we have a e-cigarette quitting program, and you can reach that by texting Ditch Vape to 88709. If you're a parent or a relative or a guardian looking to help a younger person quit, texting QUIT to 202-899-7550 will connect you to somebody who can point you in the right direction. And lastly, if you'd like more resources or more information on this topic, please reach out to us at Leaders Advancing and Helping Communities. Our phone number is 888-315-5242, or just shoot us an email at info@lahc.org. That's all I have for you guys. I wanted to keep this presentation short and sweet because I do feel like this is a very important topic to discuss. So please join us in taking the pledge to be tobacco free. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Stay safe out there, stay warm, and have a great rest of your day.